What's up, YouTube? My name is Nick, and this is Investing Against the Grain. Let's get into it. In today's episode, what we're going to talk about is should you diversify or should you not diversify? So, how do we know what we should do? First thing that we should make sure that we do is understand who we are ourselves, right? We want to make sure that we understand, what our limitations are, what our personalities like and don't like, and how we tick, ourselves. If you're somebody who just doesn't have the time to put in the work and research and understanding of what a company does, if you just don't even know where to get started, if none of this interests you, right? Interest is a huge part of this. If you're not interested in what you're doing, then there's really no point at all of even doing it. Um, but really, those are the main things, right? If none of that, falls into your wheelhouse, then you are best off diversifying. And when we say diversifying, in my opinion, and that's all this is my opinion, right? None of this is actual investment advice. My opinion is that you should be in some kind of low cost index fund. So whether that's the Nasdaq, the S&P 500, the Dow Jones, uh, that's where you should be putting your money in. Just set it and forget it. My advice would be to have a portion of your paycheck automatically be pulled out every month, sent over to your brokerage account, and then have your brokerage account auto buy into that index fund. From there, you set it and you forget it. You let the market do what it's going to do. Now, this is a very good way, again, for people who I said before, get emotional about investments, who don't have the time, don't have the interest, and really just don't want to do the work that's involved in truly understanding how a company works, what their future is, what their TAM is, how do they make revenue, what their growth stories is, who are their executive leaders, right? Do you believe in them? If you don't have the will, the time, if you don't have the interest, right? Interest is a huge part of this. If you don't have any of that, you should absolutely lean towards a diversified portfolio and diversifying via index funds. I can't stress that enough. Now, what I don't want to see a lot of people doing is one, not doing everything we just said, or not having the interest, not having the time, not having the passion, all of that, and trying to diversify by buying 5, 10, 15, 20 different companies.
It's crazy to own 50 stocks or 40 stocks or 30 stocks probably because there aren't that many wonderful businesses.
That is counterintuitive. It's either you're going to put in the work or you're not. It's that binary, again, in my opinion. Now, with that said, I would say if you really want to grow your portfolio and you really want to take things to the next level and you want to have returns on orders of magnitude greater than what you're used to, well, then you're going to have to take a different approach. Now, again, there's many different ways to invest. All I'm talking about is what I have seen work for me and what's worked for some of the greatest investors of all time, Warren Buffett and Charlie Munger. So in reality, diversification is not the way you're going to grow your portfolio orders of magnitude. Now, you don't have to believe me.
Charlie?
Yeah, what he's saying is that much of what is taught in modern corporate finance courses is twaddle.
With that said, within my own investment career, which I started when I was about 15 years old, so about 15 years of investing, I have found that the best way to really make your money work for you is to implement it in the most efficient way. And that way is through one or maybe two companies and invest in only those two companies for a minimum of 5 years. Now, this may sound crazy and, against the grain, hence the YouTube channel name, against the grain of everything you've ever heard or learned, but I promise you it'll make sense by the end of this episode. So, the first thing that we should understand is that if you're going to invest outside of an index fund, that means you're willing to do the research. You're really willing to do the homework. You are willing to put in the time that's required to truly understand the company. And finally, you actually enjoy it. You want to know more about the company. You want to follow the company. It should be almost an obsession if you're going to implement this strategy for this company. It should almost be an obsession if you're going to take this strategy and put all of your money, all of your assets into one company. So, with that said, what am I doing? What is my strategy then? I've had many different strategies over my time, my 15 years of investing. And what I find is that this is the best way to truly make high gains within my accounts.
And that gets back to the diversification question. You know, we we think diversification is, as practiced generally, makes very little sense for anyone that knows what they're doing. They Diversification is a protection against ignorance.
Tesla is about 90 to 95% of my portfolio, depending on the price of the market on the given day. But they are my conviction stock for the next decade. Tesla, I truly believe, will be not only the biggest company of all time, but again, take that to new heights. Right now, Apple is about 2.2 trillion in market cap, and they are the largest company in the world. I can easily see Tesla getting to 5 to 10, even in some cases 15, 16 trillion dollar company within the decade. That's right, decade. That's within the next 9 years. I could see this happening. And I will go into this a lot more. My next episode, I plan on doing a comparison between Amazon and Tesla and how there are so many parallels in their stories and how Amazon was the company of the last decade to be in. Tesla is the company to be in for the next decade. So those are my thoughts on whether you should diversify or not. It really just comes down to you and who you are. How do you invest? What is your temperament? Do you have a passion for it? Right? If these are things that resonate with you and you do want to do it and you want to get in the game and you want to put in the work, I highly recommend you treat any company you invest in as if you only had one or two companies you could ever invest in your entire life. That's it. You're only allowed to pick one or three companies, and that's who you have to invest in for the rest of your life. If you take that approach, it'll ensure that you put in the proper time, you do the proper homework, you do the research, and that you are going to pick something that you're committed to. At the end of the day, if you don't like the company, if you wouldn't buy their products, why would anyone else? So that's all I have for today. I'll go more into, what my investments look like and the whys behind choosing Tesla and how I see them growing over the next decade and the different markets that they're into. But until then, have a good day